What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to do another hangout and edit with me type of video. I just got done filming a keyframes hack / tips video, something that I just learned literally yesterday, and I'm like, I got to make a video for this and put it out there for you guys. So my goal here is to finish this edit in half an hour because I have another class I have to attend in half an hour. So we're going to see how far we can get. Figured I'd throw on the camera again here. A bunch of you guys like the way I did the last one, just editing through my thought process. I haven't done anything yet. I'm starting from scratch. The only thing that I've done so far is I recorded everything, I screen recorded everything, and I edited my screen recording where I just add in the different, either whether it's a blow up or you know, a highlight box or something like that. I do that in my screen recording program because it's really quick and really easy. So that's done. But let's just jump in Resolve and get working on this project. So in DaVinci Resolve here, this is what we've got so far. This is the sample video file that I use to show how the keyframes get like automatically created for you. So I don't need that right now because now I'm just going to go ahead and create this YouTube video. So the first thing I want to do is bring in all of my footage. So I'm going to go to my folder here and grab all my parts and pieces. So I've got my good audio here, recorded from my external recording. I like to bring in my footage from the C100. And then once I've got those two in there, I like to just come here. I'm just going to right click and I'm going to come down to Auto Sync Audio to sync up my good audio. It's going to do it for me. I'm going to say by waveform, sync. And I always give a good clap in the beginning of my recordings just to make sure there's a good sync point. That's done. Now we can go back to my folders here. I'm going to grab my screen recording, drop that in, and that is pretty much all I need to get started here. This was a pretty quick video, so not too much to it there. We may add some more things in as we go, but that's where we're going to start. So the next thing that I like to do is I use a program called Recut. Big thanks to Casey Ferris for telling me about this program. And what this does is it automatically cuts out all the silences for you and will spit out a timeline that I can then just bring into DaVinci Resolve. So it speeds up the workflow a lot. So to use it, really easy. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my video footage, drop it in. I'm going to grab my screen recording as well. So grab my screen recording from here, drop that in. And now I'm going to line these up in the Recut program. So I can zoom in just using my Commander Control plus and minus. And I'm just going to line these clips up. And like I said, I always do a good clap here so I can see where I need to line them up. And that looks pretty good. All right, there you go. I do a lot of weird stuff in my videos too because it's just, I think it's funny. So now that those are lined up, we can see that there's these pink areas. So those are the areas that'll get cut out. I can make adjustments here if I want to. I can say remove silence. And it's going to take out all those silences. But notice where they overlap, right? Where maybe I'm talking, but there's nothing on screen. It'll keep those sections, right? So it looks at both audio tracks and will only remove silences that are silent on both tracks. So yeah, so it works out really well. It just speeds it up. You don't have to go through and cut out all those quiet parts. So then I can come to export. I'm going to go timeline and then DaVinci Resolve right here, the FCPXML, hit export. And I'm just going to save that in my project directory. I can call it whatever I want for timeline. So I'm going to call it keyframe hacks. Going to save that. And that's it. Now I can just close this out and that's done. Close out that. Now in DaVinci Resolve here, I'm just going to import that timeline that I just made. So I'm going to right click timelines, import, and then choose the first option here. Going to go back to my project directory, select my file there that I just exported, import, and you'll get a bunch of options. So if I didn't already bring in my video clips, it can do that automatically. The reason I do it first is so that I can sync up my good audio and use that and have it good to go instead of having to do it after the fact. So I'm just going to turn off automatically set project settings because I have a default settings for my projects when I open them in Resolve. They're just good to go. And I also turn off automatically import source clips in the media pool because, like I said, I've already got them. Everything else I just leave as it is and I hit OK. Now, it's going to ask you sometimes if you have multiple bins in your project, where should it look for the files that are part of the timeline I'm importing? And in this case, master's checked, it's just going to search all the folders and find the correct files to link everything back up. So here we go. This is good. Let's close down and just organize a little here. Close my media pool for a second. Going to zoom all by using Shift-Z. And here is the entire timeline kind of cut up without all the silences already. So that takes a big chunk out of the process of editing everything. Now, the one thing I do need to normally check is that the clips are in the correct tracks. Like they're all going to be in the same track. For example, this first track here is clips from my C100 Mark II. And down below, you can see I have the keyframe hack, which is my screen recording. So I always like screen recording on track 1. And then on track 2 above that, I'll have, my talking head stuff. So I know these first couple I don't need. And for some reason in the beginning, sometimes it'll switch these. Like you can see the audio for this clip is actually in track 1 instead of in track 2 where it's supposed to be. So usually I just can delete the first few clips anyway. And everything after that is generally fine. So you can see if I click on any one of them, it shows me which track they're in. And then I like to just relabel my tracks here just to keep everything organized. So I'll call that C100. Call track 1 SF for screen flow, or you could just call it screen. For audio on track 1, I'm going to call this SF, which is screen recording, or screen flow, which is the program I record in. And then on this track, this is the MKE 600. Now, before I go ahead and start working through this a little more, the other thing that I do is that I've already synced up my good audio, right, to my clip in my media pool. So if I were to come here and right-click on my video clip, come to Clip Attributes. In Clip Attributes here under Audio, we can see I've got my good linked Channel 1 and Channel 2. But when the Recut program cuts it up, it doesn't know that I've got good synced audio with it. So if I were to come to any one of my clips from my C100 in my timeline, I'm going to right-click. We're going to come down to Clip Attributes. And when I take a look at that under the Audio section, we can see the linked 1 and 2 is there, but by default, it's set to Channel 1 and Channel 2. So I need to make all of these clips use the good linked audio. And the fastest way to do that, zoom the entire timeline, Shift-Z. And then I'm just going to select all of these clips. I'm going to right-click, Clip Attributes, go to the Audio section here, and I'm just going to change these two to Link Channel 1, Link Channel 2. Hit OK. Boom. All of my good audio is synced up, and now we're good to go. So zooming into the beginning of the timeline here, just another quick little tip for you. When I have screen recordings, it's recording the same audio that I sync up with my camera. So when I export out just the screen recording, I'll usually leave audio in the beginning so I can sync it up. And, the Recut program as well as Resolve can see and automatically sync that stuff for me. But then at some point, I turn off or mute the audio from the microphone because I have two separate tracks. I have a track for my good audio and I have a track for the screen recordings, right? Which is all of the audio that comes out of DaVinci Resolve. So I mute that because when I'm editing here, I want to be able to hear whatever's coming from the screen recording, but I don't want to necessarily have my voice on top of it, right? So a lot of times I'll mute that stuff I'll mute my voice actually in the screen recording. And then in my audio recording that I export out, I try to remember, and I think I've forgotten this one, to mute the screen recording. So I have just my vocal, my dialogue, my talking head stuff. So just looking at this part on the screen here, I think I forgot to do that because in theory, right here, there should be no talking head stuff. It should be only the computer audio, but whatever, we'll work with it. And for now, we'll figure it out. I can always re-export the stuff. It'll automatically sync back up and it would be fine. But yeah, so just something, just some little tips there to keep in mind. So in the beginning here, since I do have audio on my screen recording track, which I know is my talking head stuff, I'm just going to come in, select all those, open my inspector, and drop the volume to 0. Because I don't want to mute the track because I do want to hear the screen recording as we get into the video here. So next I'm going to do a rough cut. I'm just going to go through and make sure I've got a good flow of the video here. And I like, what I'm saying here. Now I usually do a couple takes on the intro there, trying to get something I like. So let's just jump ahead here and let's see. I'm going to start right here because I think this might be where I started. But let's see. In DaVinci Resolve here, nope, that's where I jump in Resolve. So let's move it back. So jumping into Resolve here, no, it's not that. Moving back. So this hack/tip is going to work. All right, that's Resolve 2. Coming back here. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. All right, that one's pretty good. Let's check the one before it just in case. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. All right, so I think that's the intro I want to use. I'm going to delete everything before that. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And see, it does leave some spaces sometimes, and that was because I had Talking Head or something else on these tracks up here. So that's why it didn't delete, these tracks that look like there's no audio there. But I can just go ahead and delete them. And I'm just going to watch through these and pick the one that I like for me saying we're going to jump in Resolve. Now, come on. So this tip is going to... So these two are out. This hack / tip is going to work with a whole host of different types of keyframes. So what we can do, and a lot of times I'm going to watch through it at 2x speed just to get all the parts that I want. So jumping into Resolve here, I'm in the edit tab, and this hack / tip for keyframes is something I didn't. All right, I see some blank ones there. Now I want my talking head like superimposed on top of the video, and to do that, I have an effect that I use. It's actually from Jake Wipp. Love his stuff there. So if I come into my effects library and come down to effects, I'm going to scroll down to WIPPCam. I'm just going to drop that on there. And now you see that automatically puts me in a little window there. And I'm going to make a few adjustments. So I'm going to select this clip, open up my inspector here. Let's make that a little smaller. Open the inspector. I am going to effects. In the controls, I want to put me in the top left up over here because I know that's going to be kind of out of the way. I can make it a little smaller, change the padding a little bit, push it out of the way. Reframe, I'm good there. The other one I like to change is in the animations. I don't want it to animate in and out. That's kind of built into the effect here, which is cool and all, but I don't want it to go in and out. I just want it to stay the same because I want to copy this to all of my other clips so I don't have to change it for every single clip because that's a lot of work that I don't want to do. So once I've got those settings and I like that, I'm going to come and close my inspector, zoom my entire timeline. I'm going to select that clip, Command or Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to select all my clips to about there. And then I'm going to Option or Alt V, which is going to bring up this window and allow me to paste attributes. So it's going to paste the effect across all of the clips there. So I'm just going to check all video attributes, hit apply, done. That's it. Now they all have me in that little corner, window there. And now we're back to editing to make sure we've got what I want to say here. I don't like that. Let's do that again. DaVinci frame it, right? I don't know. I don't like that. All right, a lot of times I don't like that. So let's just delete that. Next clip. It's out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the edit tab. Now this audio tip / hack, I had no idea you could do this. But let's say, for example, we're going to start with some audio as the audio guy here. I want to keyframe or add some keyframes to my audio here. Now, if you've seen some of my stuff about automation, that's a more advanced way of doing keyframing. But for example, if we open our inspector right here, we start at the beginning of our clip, and I come to my audio tab here, and I just go ahead and click a keyframe, and then I play through my video clip, and I adjust the volume while it's playing. Look what is happening.
In New Jersey here, minus 3 degrees. And I'm not setting automation. 3 degrees below freezing, which is 30.
That's ridiculous. I just saw this with the audio here in the edit tab. Okay, so this is one example where I was talking about. Now I had the audio going here in the screen recording, as well as when I exported out my good audio, I forgot to turn off the screen recording because it's too jumbly. So what I'm going to do is I'll re-export my good audio, which will automatically just sync back up. It's going to do the same file. I'm going to have the same file name. It's going to automatically sync back up to the good video here. And then I could just lower the volume of the background music because I really want you to see how the keyframes are changing. You don't necessarily need to hear it so much because I'll show that more later on. So I could just pop a marker here so I remember to come back. I'm going to add a red marker and say re-export good audio, just so I remember to come back and do that. So for now, we'll just keep on moving. You could just ride that volume slider and it'll automatically add in all the keyframes. Crazy. It also works with the pan right here. And then that got me thinking, well, hey, if it works with audio, does it work? Check this out. All right, delete that. Now, do I want to go full frame here with myself? The audio here in the that's insane. You could just ride that. All right, so I'll come back here. I'm going to make a cut on my video clip. Then I'm going to come up here and turn off the effect. So I could just click here, turn off, and boom, I'm back to full screen. Now I do have some transitions sometimes that I'll use, just custom ones I made. It's just a slide up and a slide down. So if I wanted to use that, I could, slide back up. That's insane. You could just ride that volume slider and it'll automatically add in all the keyframes. Crazy. It also works with the pan right here. And then that got me thinking, well, hey, crazy. And then I'm going to make another cut right here because I want this part to be turned back on. And I can add a slide down there. In all the keyframes. Crazy. It also works with the pan right here. And then that got me thinking, well, all right, then that got me thinking. Let's make another cut. And then I'm just going to turn it off for the last section here. Slide back up. And that got me thinking, well, hey, if it works with audio, does it work with video? Yeah, it does. Check this out. Okay, so now where I go, yeah, it does. I think I just want to zoom in on my face to, you know, just like make that more of a point. So I actually have a zoom that I use, just a basic zoom on a talking head. I call it talking head zoom. So if I bring this down, and I actually have to make a new track first. We're going to add a track. Bring down my talking head zoom. Bring that there. Going to shorten it up, and here's what it looks like. Yeah, it does. Check this out. Stretch it back out, and then come here. We're going to make a little cut on these guys. So taking a look at the video portion of our clips here, I'm just going to come back to the beginning of my timeline here. Go where it fades in a little bit. Let's jump in the inspector, go to the video section. Now we've got keyframes for a whole ton of stuff here. Let's just start with the transform section. I'm just going to hit the top level keyframe here. And now I can play through it back, watch it in real time, and make any change I want here, and it's going to automatically add in the keyframe. Mind blown, right? I was like, what? I had no idea after all these years. So let's do a little zoom here.
That's what is happening. It is cold here if you're anywhere in the United States.
In New Jersey here. Okay, yeah, I mean,
You might not feel like it. You probably didn't work back, but you get the idea here. Let's move a couple of things here. And I'm not talking like 3 degrees below freezing, which is 32. I'm talking -3, dude. It is cold, and I'm going to have to go back inside. Yeah, dude, I can't even get out here without gloves on. It is freezing, but I need some footage.
So I just changed a whole bunch of stuff there. So you are going to see here that I do need to go out and re-export out that good audio because now we're doubling up our audio, right, in both tracks there. I don't want that. I only want it in the screen recording track. So I'll fix that later. It's not a big deal. So I just changed a whole bunch of stuff there. So I just changed... Take this out. Changed a whole bunch of stuff right there using the inspector. And if I want to see what got added onto my clip here, if I click on... Yeah. So I just made a whole bunch of changes. All right, so sometimes we're going to redo. Like if I don't like what I said, I'll just delete that. And actually, I want to add in another track here in between my talking head and my screen recording so that I can drop in an adjustment clip and further zoom in on my screen recording if I want to. So I'm just going to come to my screen flow track here. I'm going to say add a track, and we'll just call this zooms. And then I have a screen zoom that I've already set up. So I can just drop that in there, and let's see where I want to put it. So I just made a whole bunch of changes here. So maybe I want to put this here, and then in order to change where it's zooming in, I can select my adjustment clip. And if I come to this guy, go to Fusion Overlay, this little X is going to tell me exactly where it's going to zoom into. So this is actually another effect by Jake Whip. Works great. I love it. Use it all the time. So I'm going to drag it over. Let's just put it right up over here. And this is what that looks like. I just made a whole bunch of changes here in the inspector, and it keyframed all that stuff for me as I was making the changes in real time. And that's where I want it to end. So all I have to do is drag it to the end. It's automatically going to zoom back out for me. So to see the changes that I made, I can come down in my timeline. Make sure your clip is zoomed up a little. And if I want, I could just copy this if I want. Whoa, too far, dragging it all over. Just gonna undo that. If you hold, just drag in another one here. And again, I can just adjust it. And this will help make it bigger on the screen. Even though I already zoomed in on it in my screen recording, I want it to be bigger because it's just going to be easier for you guys to see. So my timeline. Make sure your clip is zoomed up a little bit. If you hold your shift key and scroll your middle mouse wheel, you can zoom it up and out. Make sure you can see these two little icons. So if we click on the one on the right here, the diamond, that's going to show us all the keyframes that we just made in real time. And if you want to see them a little more specifically, like which, is it zoom position, whatever, click on this right here. Gonna make a little more room here. Now you can see there's keyframes for each one of the things that we changed. If I zoom in, you can see it just made keyframes for everything. As I was making. Now I shortened this up because I zoomed in even more and changed the framing of it on the screen recording. I want to make sure I get it all in there. So I just shortened up this zoom over here. As I was making the changes in real time. So you can come in, change them, delete them, whatever you want to do. You know which ones you use and where you made the keyframes. Again, sometimes there's going to be a little bit of extra space. So I'm just going to cut that out. So you can come in and change them, delete them. And a lot of times I'm looking at the waveforms down here just to kind of tell me where that is. And then I'm going to eyeball it. You can even make these bigger if you want. Like I know, okay, that's got to get cut out. We don't need the silence there. Where you made the keyframes. If you made the keyframes. If you want a more detailed view, you can click on these as you're playing back your video. I even tried it with some of the other things, like if we wanted to, for example, do the composite mode. I'm gonna hit a keyframe.
Oh, yeah, that is happening. It is cold here if you're anywhere in the United States. In New Jersey here, -3 degrees this morning, and I'm not talking.
And you can see it right in the keyframes as I'm playing back. So pretty much anything with keyframes here in the edit tab, you're gonna be able to do this really quick and easy, and it's gonna create them for you while you play back your video and you make adjustments on the fly. All right, we have a bunch of space here. I'm just gonna get rid of all those, delete. I know I tried an ending a few times, so it's probably gonna be the last one that sounds the best. Usually is the last one. So I'm gonna delete that. And at this point, I really don't need the screen recordings, so I can delete those, especially since the audio is doubled up there. I'm just gonna use my backspace key, not the delete key, because I want to ripple delete. I just want to delete those clips and keep everything else that's in there. And I also want to come to my video clip here, and I'm gonna delete the effect. And then if I Command or Control C, copy that, select all of them, and then Option or Alt V, I'll get my paste attributes again, and I can just hit apply. And then that way it's deleted, that effect is deleted on all of the extra clips. I don't have to go through one by one and do it like that. So let's, I know this one's not good, so let's get rid of that. So I like to do the talking head zoom in here. So I'm gonna drag one of these down and we'll just apply some of these. Literally kind of where I think it would make sense or where I want to like emphasize something a little bit. Literally, I learned that yesterday and I was like, how did I never know that? I never even thought to try that, right? So much awesome stuff here in Resolve. And that's why when I learn new things, I'm like, and actually before I even start dumping those in, just want to make sure, yeah, I think that's the take I want to use because I always do multiple takes. So I want to make sure I get the right take in there. But yeah, it's here now. So yeah, I think it's all right. Resolve. And that's why when I learn new things, I'm like, I gotta make a video about it, put it out there for you guys, because it's something that you may not know too. But by the way, if you did know it. All right, we're gonna copy this over. Just to emphasize this part a little bit here. You may not know it too. But by the way, if you did know it, drop a comment down below. Let me know, because I'm curious if I'm the only one who didn't know that hack/tip for keyframes. So I want to extend this out, and this is easy to adjust this talking head keyframes if I want. So I can just open the keyframes, and in this case, I'm just going to delete these two because I can select them and move them, or I could just delete them, and then this way it'll just pop right back to, you know, a zoom factor of 1 instead of the 1.5 for keyframes. I don't know. But if you're brand new to keyframes, I do have a whole keyframe crash course that I just put out here on YouTube. All right, so I'm talking about the keyframe crash course I just put out, and when I'm talking about that, I want to dump in the thumbnail, all right, just in case people go looking for it. If I could find it here. Yes, I put it on my external hard drive because once I am done with projects that are on my SSD, I move them to a storage external hard drive where they basically sit and rot away. All right, so they don't rot, but you know, yeah, they just sit over there. So keyframes crash course. All right, here we go. Here we go. So I'm just going to drag this into my YouTube folder here. Okay, I'm going to just drag this down in the timeline. Drop her on in there. Come on, drop in there. It's being a little stubborn here, huh? There we go. So I don't need it that big. I'm going to scale it down. Come over here, transform. We'll just throw it on up over here. That looks pretty good. I do like to just drop a little drop shadow on there because, you know, why not? So effects, it's one of my favorites. Drop shadow, boom, drop that in there. Man, what is with things not sticking today? There we go. Stick in there, would ya? All right. The keyframes, I do have a whole key. All right, we're going to make that a little longer. Let's just throw a transition on there in the beginning. What transition you like? What do you like out there? You know, you just pick some, you just throw it in there, you know? Maybe you could do some, not the circles, not the box wipe. You could do a little shake. I kind of like the glow. I'll use that often. So let me drop that on there. What is going on here? So sometimes, I don't know why, things are getting a little wonky here. It's not letting me drop it on there. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it just needs a little restart. All right, well, in case that doesn't work out, we can just fade it in. If you're brand new to keyframes, I do have a whole key. Oh, one thing I do want to do is adjust the color of this clip because I work in a color managed workflow. So a lot of times when you bring in an image or something and you're in a color managed workflow, you have to set what you want the input color space to be. So if I right click on this PNG, I come down to input color space, and you can see right now it's using the Canon Cinema Canon log, but I actually want to change that because this is an image to sRGB. Boom, and you can see it fixes up the color there for me. So that is definitely better. All right, that looks good. Let's see what else we got. Keyframe crash course that you just put out here on YouTube is free. You can head over, check that out. We talk about the edit page, the fusion page, the color page, Fairlight, keyframes, all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of another concept and way of working with keyframes that should be tucked in there that I just learned about. So, all right, drag this out a little. There we go. It's here now. You can check this one out. But yeah, it's here now. And if you guys found it helpful, give me a little thumbs up, subscribe. I just learned about. So it's here now. You can. All right, so let's make a cut over here. Cut out this part. Oh. And let's just get rid of these. Boop. See ya. And then cut. But yeah, it's here now. And if you guys found it helpful, give me a little thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if it's here now. You haven't already. And with that said, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace. All right, looks good. So we'll just make a cut here. Delete the rest of it. Boom. Done. Fade it out. Peace. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so that is the rough edit there. I'm getting close to having to jump on my class here. I got like 5 minutes left. Still got a bunch of work to do here that you know, I want to do to get it done. So I may have to pause this video and come back, which will be like that for you guys. So no worries on your end there. But a couple things as I get, you know, wrap up where I'm at currently. I like to add in a little zoom. I can delete the first clip underneath there because it'll show through. I don't need that. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just... So I like to add in maybe just a little dynamic zoom here right in the beginning. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and... So let's go to right here. Is that my computer making that dinging while I was recording? Oh, but I'm going to turn off the screen recording when I re-export out the good audio, so that'll take care of that, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to make a cut here, just select my clip, and I'm going to turn on dynamic zoom, and here's what we get. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. All right, and then right here, I want to add in the head zoom. So I'm going to come back to my power bins where I have the zoom. Talk head zoom, drop that in. And I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You got to check this out. Come on. Okay, here I'm going to make a cut, get rid of that. Talking head is good. Now I like to add a transition in here. I like to use the DaVinci Resolve logo wipe transition, which is, well, the logo wipe transition standard here in DaVinci Resolve. The DaVinci Resolve logo, you have to go grab that if you want to use that, or use any image that you want. It doesn't really matter. So I am going to go to my effects, transitions, and we have logo wipe. I'm going to drop that on there, stretch it on out a little bit. And then on the logo itself, I'm going to come into my inspector, hit transition. I'm not going to use the text. I'm going to use a custom logo. And one of the tricky things with this is that you do need to drag the effect in from the media pool. So in order to do that, I am going to go to my media pool, power bins. I've got brand assets and logos. And then I've got a DaVinci Resolve square logo right here. So it's a little tricky. You got to like select the one, and sometimes it's a little wonky in the inspector, but basically you just drag your image over to the custom logo. Boom, it drops it in. You're good to go. Here's what it looks like. Check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve. All right, it's good. Now I'm going to add in 2 more audio tracks because I want a music track and a sound effects track. And I could do templates for this stuff, but it's so quick. You know, it's not really a big deal. So sound effects, I do have some great sound effects here that I use often, like this. Sounds good. I'm going to drop that in there. We're going to lower the volume a little bit. Gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the... There we go. All right, that's good. Now I need a little bit of music. I've got tons of music already downloaded, so let's just say I want to pick some from Artlist. A lot of times what I do is I'll just come in here and, I don't know, just kind of randomly listen to a few and see what I like. I'll just scroll through, pick one. All right, that sounds good to me. Let's just drop that in there, right? I'm going to lower the volume of that. And make sure that the start of the song comes in right at the beginning. Sometimes there's a little break there, so I'm going to do that. Let's hear how it sounded like. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I open my mixers so I can see my levels here. Stretch it out. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the Edit tab now. All right, so that's good. So I usually like to end my music like right after the transition. So what I'll do is I'll make a cut on my music track, zoom in here, and then I'll just fade this out throughout the length of the transition, kind of like that. Just delete this part. Here's what that sounds like. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in. All right, that's pretty good. Now, it might sound like the dialogue's a little low, but that's because I know I'm going to go in and apply an effect or a preset onto my dialogue. So I'm going to jump into Fairlight real quick. Go Fairlight. We're going to go Preset Library. Bring that up. I'm going to go Track Presets. I've got, this one is the one I typically use, Mana EQ Dialogue. You could have got the Mana EQ for free a while back when I had that deal. Speaking of which, I don't want to tell anybody, but there's a new plugin coming up that's going to be free for you guys from Waves, although this video might be out after that. So hopefully you didn't miss it and you caught it. So anyway, apply that preset. Boom, that audio is good to go. Then I also have one for music under dialogue. Boom, apply that. We're good to go. And I'm just going to listen to it and see how it sounds now. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You got it. So now I think I can make that music just a wee bit louder because my dialogue got boosted up a bunch. So let's just move this up to maybe minus 21 dB. Do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the Edit tab. Now so that's good. And you can see now my dialogue levels are around at minus 10. On the music track, I did just a little EQ to cut and carve a little space for the dialogue, and I added on a stereo spread effect. So jumping back into the Edit tab, what else do I have to do here? Well, I like to add a little music at the end. So I'm just going to use the same piece of music. And what I typically do is I'm going to drag that out so I get the end of the song. And I'm going to come maybe, I don't know, 10 seconds past the end of my talking head stuff. So I'll just hold Shift and use my arrow keys to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, look at that. I got it in a pretty close spot there. So I'm going to pull this head just a little bit. Bring that in. And then I usually start the music somewhere around where it goes back to just my talking head. So maybe here, and I'll come back just a little bit, and then I'll fade it in. I'll make a cut, get rid of that part. Zoom in, let's just fade it up. Make it a little bit quieter than we had in the beginning, and here's how it goes. And you make adjustments on the fly. So was your mind blown as much as my mind was blown by that? I thought that was crazy. Literally, I learned that yesterday, and I was like, how did I never know that? I never even thought to try that, right? There, that I just learned about. So, but yeah, it's here now, and if you guys found it helpful. All right, so that's that at the end. I do like to add a little subscribe. I know I'm kind of cruising a little quick here because time is a little tight on my side here. But let's see, I want to come again to my power bins. And I have overlays here, which I use all the time for all kinds of stuff. I have one I could do like just this subscribe is, kind of nice sometimes. I usually use this a lot. I don't know, I've just been kind of liking that lately. And you can, I can change it, rotate it, do, whatever I want. Go like that, because I know it might get a little covered up. I don't know. With some of the, Endscreen stuff. Video. Peace. And I'll go like that. Fade out the audio. In the next video. Peace. And I like to fade the audio back up at the end once I say peace. In the next video. Peace. Now, one tip, when I bring audio levels back up, like songs are mastered pretty loud. So when you bring them in, they're up close to, not quite clipping, but they're way up there in the red, right, on our meters. I like to keep them around minus 10 dB, same place that I put the audio, so it doesn't blow away the audience's ears. It doesn't get overly loud quick or anything like that. And then the last step that, actually there's a few steps left. One of the last steps here is to color grade my talking head. And again, I do that really quick, jump into color tab. What I like to do is, depending on the project, like this project, I know all the talking head is one clip. So I'm going to use a remote grade to do it because I can do it once and it applies to all of my clips. So I'm going to select my clip, right click, and where are you? Right here, use remote grades. I'm going to click on that. I have a power grade already all set up. I'm just going to drag and drop that on there. I usually turn off my, my vignette because when the video is small like this, if I have the vignette on, it actually makes it darker, and I don't like that. And it's just quicker to just turn off the vignette than, you know, go through and do too much crazy stuff. But I'll just double check it. I'll look at my scopes down here, make sure my highlights, the highest part is not higher than the 896. Like that looks pretty close. I can bring the highlights up just a little bit. I mean, you know, so for my face, I don't want it to be over that 896 because I find for me, after I render it out and get it on YouTube, it kind of looks a little blown out. So I kind of go with that. The only other thing I did on here is I just made some temperature changes, a little contrast, a little color boost, and just adjusted the color wheels a little bit there. The only other thing I did is in this last note is I just added a little bit of sharpness here. I'll literally come to the radius and just roll it down one click on my mouse to 0.47. And then my color grading is good to go there. And that's it. I mean, color grade's done, right? I don't do anything to the screen recording. And since all of my clips are the same talking head clip, boom, I'm done. That's it. That's all I got to do for that. The last step that I do is set up my mastering for my audio. So I come to Fairlight. Again, I've got a preset for this, preset library. I'm going to go to Global Bus Preset. And right here, I have Mastering JY. Select Bus 1, Apply. Close my inspector here. Let's close this. Now, in order to check my overall loudness to make sure I'm getting, you know, up to that minus 14 LUFS, what I do is I pop out my two effects here that I just put on my main Bus 1. And then I'm going to zoom out, come to the beginning of my timeline. Make sure you have your automation toggled on, automation controls. Because then if I scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see Bus 1 here, and it's got loudness history. So you may need to make your window or your track a little bigger, drag it bigger like that in order to see the loudness history. Because if it's too small, you're not going to see that. And basically what I'm going to do is come to my loudness area. I'm going to tell Resolve, hey, I am looking for YouTube loudness. It's going to set it automatically for me. Here's our minus 14 LUFS. Hit reset, start. And then down on my effects here on my main bus, I have this Waves plugin. Actually, they're both Waves. It's called WLM plus stereo. So it's basically a meter, but I can also adjust the gain a little bit. It does a few other little things here and there. But I'm going to go ahead and hit reset on that. And the way I'm going to adjust my overall loudness is by using this stereo limiter right here. So I know that generally for the threshold -3 and the output ceiling -1, that works out good. Usually I'm good to go. But I'm just going to double check where all my loudness is falling by looking at my graph, looking at my integrated level right here, as well as looking at this meter right here. So let's just go ahead and play through and see where we fall. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the Edit tab. Now this audio tip slash... Okay, so I can tell that I am below the allowable level because I'm at -17 here, and I can go as loud as -14. So again, right here, -17.5, -17.5. So I can see where my LUFS level or my loudness level is. So I can make it louder, and I'm going to do that by dragging my threshold a little louder. So let's say maybe I make this 5. Then I'm just going to reset everything, come back to the beginning, and try it again. Lower the volume here so I don't blow your ears out. I just learned this crazy keyframe hack here in DaVinci Resolve, and I had no idea you could do this until I just learned it, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's jump in Resolve. You gotta check this out. Come on. In DaVinci Resolve here, I'm in the Edit tab. Now this audio tip slash hack, I had no idea you could do this, but let's say, for example, we're going to start with some audio as the audio guy here. I want to keyframe or add some keyframes to my audio here. Now, if you've seen some of my stuff, so I could leave it like this. It's pretty good. I mean, I usually like to go 1 or 2 dB below that -14. So in this case, -16. We're at -15.9. So I could boost it up just a little bit more, maybe. I don't want to go too much because I don't like to get too close to that -14. But that's it. Once, you know, I'm happy with where this is at. Boom, close, close. Audio is good. I'm all set there. Then I'm going to jump into the deliver page. Now, when I go to deliver my projects here, everything's filmed and edited in 1080. And I could change the timeline to 4K, but it takes too long to render it out that way. So what I do instead is I just have a preset where I change the 1080 to 4K in the export. So I'll just pick where I want it to go. And then the rest of the settings, I use MP4 at H.264. I changed the resolution from 1080 up to 4K, use the same frame rate as the timeline. I restrict my quality to 90,000 when I'm doing 4K. I do a multipassing code, and then everything else I leave. I don't use any of the, upload to YouTube settings or the normalization, wherever that is. Advanced, is that under advanced? Yeah, I don't use any of that stuff because I just set the loudness and all that for YouTube. So I don't need Resolve to go back and do that again. It's where I want it. I don't want them to change it. So once you got everything set, add to render queue. It's going to get this message because the resolution's higher than what the timeline is. It's fine. And then that's it. Boom. There is my project. It's ready to render out. I got to go jump on a class now so I can learn more DaVinci Resolve stuff. But that is it in a nutshell how I edit a video like this. It's a quick, easy video. Obviously, I could do it even quicker when I'm not talking through all of it and just clicking through and doing all the steps and everything. So if you guys found this helpful, let me know. If you have questions about any of the process, I know I ran through it quick here. Drop me a comment. Let me know. I'm happy to make more of these types of videos, just showing you my process, working through videos. But this is generally the process I use. It's pretty quick for most videos. Obviously, some videos take a little longer, a little more in depth and all that. But this is kind of how I do it in a nutshell. Lots of presets and things that are already done. I can just drop on there so I can get things done quick and get videos and information out to you guys so you can learn some more DaVinci Resolve. All right, with that said, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.